Hello everybody, welcome to Make It Monday with Carol Garrison and Carol's Creative Escape. I'm so grateful for you taking time to watch this video tonight, and I hope that it leaves you inspired to try the card layout that I'm going to share with you this evening. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And have been doing this for about 10 years, new to videos in the last year and a half, and have found that it's something I really enjoy sharing some cards that I can create and design with you and hopefully teach you something new and or spark some creative activity in your brain as well to start making cards. So like I said, it is Monday, October 10th, and had a busy weekend. I was able to go away for a girls' weekend, crafting type weekend, about 45 minutes from my house. So I left Thursday night and came back yesterday. And it was just a great time. There's a group of 6 of us that have been doing it for a while, and I was there with a couple of my sisters as well as some friends, and it just was a great getaway from the world for a few days. And the drive was real nice because the fall colors were so pretty. It was great to see that as well. So other than that, I don't really have a whole lot to report. Our weather's been decent up here, so I've been working out in my yard trying to get gardens emptied out of flowers and dead things cut back, and that sort of thing before our really cold weather hits. Tomorrow they're predicting about an 80-degree afternoon, so I'm hoping I can get the last of the gardens cut, because it's a lot nicer to do that when it's a little warmer outside than when it's cold and they've already been frozen once by the frost. Anyhow, that's my world. I hope you guys have all had a great week too. I am really excited to share this layout. It actually is a card that my sister created this weekend, and I loved it so much I went ahead and made a template so that I'd be able to recreate this card. Only I think one of my sisters might have taken that template home with them over the weekend. So, Jody or Ann, if you're watching and you happen to have the template for this card, feel free to send it back to me. Otherwise, I will have to create another one of those. But it's just a real pretty card. It's fairly simple. It can show off some of our designer paper. Shows off embossing folders if you want to do that. And as I'm going to show you tonight, it's got a wide range of purposes that it can serve in terms of when you might use this layout in creating cards. So without further ado, let me go ahead and get my camera flipped over. I apologize for any jerking around that occurs while I'm doing that, and I will be with you in just a second. I will turn the camera now because it's going to be better than seeing my hand, I think. Let me get it hooked up here. You don't really need to see my cord, but I think you might today. Get out of the way. There we go. All right. Look, I think I even got it pretty straight. That's always a good sign too. All right, so the card I'm going to share with you today, I've got both a Christmas and a birthday version, and I'm actually making you a New Year's card tonight as well. I don't know that I've ever done a New Year's card, but there's a first for everything, and this card layout and the paper I'm using from the Lights Aglow designer series paper just made a great New Year's Eve card, I thought. So let me show you the card that we're going to make, and then I will just share with you this first example. So here I've made it into a birthday card, and as you can see, it's just kind of layers. I did emboss a layer, and then I'm just using basic white. I've got a layer of designer series paper, that's kind of the pink color that you're seeing, basic white, another of the balmy blue, and then the designer series paper for this card, and I've just made it into a happy birthday card, and on the inside, wishing you every happiness this special day will bring. So quick, easy birthday card. And then I've also made it into a Christmas card, and this is using wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't have to search for the name of Christmas paper. It's Boughs of Holly. No, that's a different set. This one is the, I have it right here, I think. Oh, I was right. It is the Boughs of Holly Designer Series paper. And here I've just cut my square to highlight one of the poinsettias. And then I've used the Musical Notes embossing folder. Real Red and Shaded Spruce are the colors on this one. And I think on the inside I've just stamped it with May the Peace of the Season light your world, and may your new year be the brightest. So I thought that made a great card with this layout. The New Year's Eve card that I'm making is actually going to be basic black and basic gray and some gold sparkle. So let's jump right in and I'll show you how to make this card. First thing that you're going to need is a piece of 4 1/4 by 11 piece of cardstock, scored at 5 1/2. I am using basic black. And I have already stamped this. Actually, it's inside out, I think. I already stamped this in black ink. I think I'm going to have to brighten that up just a little bit with my Stampin' Up watermark. And then I've got a bunch of layers of paper. For the inside piece of this card, I am using a piece of basic gray that measures, I want to make sure I'm giving you the right measurements, 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. That's a little bit smaller than I normally do. But I'm just doing that because I can. And then I've got a piece of the gold sparkle that measures 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And in order to save on my sparkle paper, I've actually cut my square. Actually, I tried to cut my square later. This didn't work out quite like I expected, so I had to cut another piece out because I actually went a little bigger with my square than what I had cut out of here. Anyhow, doesn't matter, this size would have worked as well, but this is going to be covered up, so I can go ahead and cut my square out of here and still have it to be layered on my card. So keep that in mind as just a way to extend your sparkly stuff. Then I'm going to follow that up with a piece of basic black that measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, which will be followed up with a piece of basic gray that measures 3 by 4 1/4, and then I've got a square of the gold sparkly that will measure 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and another square of the Lights Aglow Designer Series paper, and that measures 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. I think that covers all of the measurements. And then I'm also using a piece of the gold ribbon, the shimmer ribbon, just to make a little small bow on here. We're going to be doing a little bit of embossing as well. And so we got just a few things going here. So I am going to start, I'm going to use that same stamp that I used on that Christmas card to stamp on the inside of my card here. And I just like that because it brings in the New Year's theme. And I'm going to go ahead and do that in my memento. Make sure I've got that inked, and we'll just center it kind of at the top so we can write a little note. All right. Then we'll set that aside to dry. And I'm just going to come over here and we'll do our embossing. And I'm going to rub that with my embossing buddy. That gets rid of the static and helps cut down some of the smearing that might occur. And I'm going to use my Versamark ink to get a good base. And I'm just using a greeting that says Happy New Year, and I'm going to put that in the lower right hand corner. And you can see that there, so I'm good with that. And I'll take gold embossing powder. I really struggled with what color, and I was going to use basic white, and I just didn't like it. I thought it was just too, I don't know. I thought the gray went a lot better. So I'm going to turn on my heat gun. It'll take just a moment. My heating tool, not my heating gun. That's a work thing. And I'm going to hold it over. I never get tired of the magic of watching embossing powder melt. So hopefully you guys enjoy this as much as I do. And if you've never tried this before, I would encourage you to do it. It starts out as a powder, and then it melts into a shiny, smooth gold set of lettering. You want to make sure that you've got your heat on it long enough to melt it so it's nice and smooth and not kind of gritty looking. And there we've got our sentiment embossed. It's just a way to add a little bit of sparkle to a card, I think. And now, you guys, this card's pretty simple, so we're just going to start right away with assembling the pieces to it. And I seem to have misplaced, maybe if I got rid of my camera stand. You know, I don't think I've fully unpacked everything, so I am going to be using something other than seal. You know what? No, I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm going to use glue tonight. I'll use the liquid glue. There's a lot of people that use liquid glue because in the humid climates, that tape doesn't always work for them. So let's use our liquid glue since I can't find my seal. I'm one that kind of avoids glue because I tend to make a mess with it, but we'll see what we can do. And actually with the glitter paper, sometimes glue can work better. I am, however, going to grab my mat here because when I put my black paper onto the gold foil, I want to be careful not to get it in the center because I've got that square that I cut out and it could ooze out. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just set this on here. Sometimes the glue is actually better to use when you're using glitter because it can get down in there. So I'm going to just rub that. Yep, see, just a little bit of it. Not a big deal, but I didn't want to get that on my work surface. Okay, and then I'm going to, hey Judy, how are you? I am going to add some more glue to the back of this. You do want to be sparing on it. You don't need a ton, and you don't want it oozing out. So I like to kind of let a little bit out and then spread it actually with the tip of the glue. So we'll center this piece of paper. And now nobody knows that I have a hole in my gold paper there either. And I'm going to add the basic gray layer, sorry, to this one. So you can see how that gold embossing really adds a nice touch. And it cools off real quick. You don't want to touch it right away, only because it's still just a little bit soft and you could kind of smear it or mush down a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and add our gold layer to the top center of this card. You can see how easy this is to make. I mean, even cutting it out, it doesn't take a long time to do that. And we'll add a little bit more glow. And what's fun about this Lights Aglow paper is there is gold foil in it, and that's why I chose to use the gold sparkle, because I thought it would pull out the gold foil And because it is kind of a New Year's themed card, it also is good to have a little bit of sparkle for that, right? And then I'm going to cheat on my bow, and I've taken, I don't know, it's about, what would you say, 4.5 inches long, roughly. And I'm tying it just into a simple knot. And that's the bow that I'm going to have tonight. And I'm going to adhere that with a glue dot. Oops. Works better if it goes the right direction though. And sometimes when I put bows on, I actually kind of like to have 2 glue dots right next to each other. These dots, in case you're wondering, were some left over from a paper pumpkin kit that I did. One of the things that's really nice about the paper pumpkin kits is you always get a lot of usually glue dots and mini dimensionals, more than you're going to need. They just give you a sheet, and so I use those especially when I'm traveling, just because it's a convenient way to transport it. I'm going to cut off a little bit on my ribbon here, using my ribbon scissors, because I don't like to use my paper scissors on ribbon. Anybody else have a special pair of scissors that they use for cutting ribbon? Alright, and then I'm just going to glue my little ribbon down there, and this card is done. How quick and easy was that? So again, a very, very simple layout that allows itself to become whatever type of card you want. The dimensions again would be 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. The first layer, for this first layer of cardstock, I didn't do it on here, but if you wanted to emboss something, I actually cut that layer on these 2 cards. On this card, it is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. On this card, I did it the standard 4 by 5 1/4. And on this card, I didn't even put that layer on there. I figured with the gold sparkles, I didn't need to add the detail of any type of dimension. So then once you get from there, your next layer is going to be 3.5 by 4 3/4, 3 by 4 1/4, and this layer is nope, I gave you wrong measurements. I'm sorry. 3.5 by 4 3/4. The green layer here is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and this layer is 3 by 4 1/4. And then the squares, the red or the blue or the gold here, are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. The designer series paper on each of these is 2.5 by 2.5. And then on the inside, you can put whatever size you would like it to be. In this case, it's 4 by 5 1/4. And on this one, I made it a little bit smaller so that it is 3.5 by 4 3/4. So I hope you enjoyed this card and have a few minutes where you can go back and recreate this card. As always, if you do make this card, feel free to post it in the comments. I love to see what other people do and what ideas they have for the card. And like I said, it's a pretty quick video tonight, but I hope that you all have a great week. I have lots of things planned for later this month, the different videos that I'm doing, and I think you're going to enjoy them. I also have just in case you're interested in this, doing a technique for a blog hop that I'm in that is going to feature the rock and roll technique this month. And then there will also be a free tutorial for a card coming out in my newsletter. Because of being gone this weekend, it didn't go out last night. I will get that published and have it distributed tomorrow night. So if you don't already subscribe to my newsletter, feel free to go to my website, www.carolscreativeescape.com. And you'll get a pop-up window there where you can subscribe to the newsletter. And every week I will be sending out the newsletter, which will include a free tutorial on how to make a card. I'll have pictures of it with step-by-step instructions and measurements so that you can recreate the card however you want to do that. Have a great week, everyone, and we will see you next Monday. Thanks. Bye-bye.